All right, and to discuss some of the results from the 2024 national elections, we're now joined by political analyst Ntsikelelo Breakfast, and he joins us now via our video link. Ntsikelelo, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, just looking at those results in particular, and looking with a focus when it comes to KwaZulu-Natal, of course, the front runner there being the MK party, and a bit earlier on, we saw the IFP as well, surpassing the ANC. But now looking at the results once more, it seems as if the ANC is back at the second position. I mean, when you look at the results in KwaZulu-Natal, was this something that you had expected?
Yes, of course, because, political power in post-colonial states comes from two spaces, namely the urban centers and the rural section of the population. And I think Msholozi has embedded himself in KZN, and he has a link with traditional leaders. I think most of the votes, they came from that space. But I would say the beauty about the party is that they also have a footprint in other provinces. Yes, they are a regional party, but I think also some of their votes, they came from other provinces. So I don't think that they are confined only to KZN. And I think they've surprised, I think, many of us. And it looks like there won't be an outright winner, that the situation at the moment will create a scope for a coalition arrangement, actually throughout the length and the breadth of the country.
And, now looking at the results in KwaZulu-Natal and Ntsikelelo, it's currently sitting on the 77% mark. And of course, when you look at, the top three parties being the MK party as well as the ANC and the IFP, what do you predict the final outcome will be when we get to 100%, particularly looking at a bit earlier on that IFP was sitting on the second position?
Yeah, so I don't think that the picture that has been painted is going to change because votes have been counted now. So I think it looks like there won't be an outright winner, and that will create a scope for a coalition arrangement. But I can bet my bottom dollar Umkhonto weSizwe will not join forces with the ANC anyway, in my view. Especially Msholozi is on record having said that, he will not join forces with the ANC of Ramaphosa, so to speak. So I think they might reach out, because I don't think that there will be an outright, in as much as they've done very well. I'm not taking away anything from them. They've done very well. They need to tap themselves on the back. But I think they will still need other numbers to make the threshold and form a government. So my prediction is that maybe they might join forces with the IFP, and maybe, I think if they join forces with the IFP, I think the numbers will be enough, or with the DA. But I mean, if you look at what they believe in, which is radical economic transformation, I don't think that the DA will be comfortable with those policies, like, for instance, the return of the so-called, stolen land, the entrenchment of black people in the commanding heights of the economy, nationalization. I don't think the DA will be comfortable with those things, even at a provincial level.
And Ntsikelelo, looking at the role that former President Jacob Zuma has played in these elections, and particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, and mainly just shifting gears there when it comes to the current leader or the party that is currently leading when it comes to the tally in that province. And do you think that the ANC had underestimated the power of former President Jacob Zuma and the power that he holds, and of course to garner support in that province?
One of the strong points of Msholozi is strategic theory, because of his background of security. And you must remember that, strategy is a military concept, because he knows how to maneuver and how to outmaneuver his political enemies. So what he has done, in my view, is to use a propaganda machinery campaign as one of the tools of politics, by projecting himself as a victim. And I think, I'm sorry to say this, and maybe we must talk about this some other time, the political psychology of the electorate. But I think the meaning of the numbers, if people have voted for Umkhonto weSizwe, in my opinion, it means that people have bought into that propaganda. The second thing is that I think Msholozi has used nativism, which is a form of populism, to conceal some of his weaknesses. And by populism, I'm not talking about being popular. Populism doesn't mean to be popular. We can talk about that some other time. So I think those have been some of the strategies that he has used. The last strategy, which is an advantage of him, is that because he's a traditional person, which is fine, but he has a link with the base, traditional leaders, because the ANC has been getting votes from that base. So that's how, in my view, he has been able to outmaneuver his political opponent. But to answer your question, yes, I think the ANC underestimated him.
When it comes to the ANC, I mean, we saw them having a very strong campaign in KwaZulu-Natal, bringing in the likes of the president and former presidents like Thabo Mbeki, and which is, when it comes to their strategy in KwaZulu-Natal, where did the ANC go wrong?
I think the romanticism of the past, the glorification of history, the preservation of tradition, those are things of the past, because liberation struggle has always embedded itself in collective memory. I don't think that people have been voting for the ANC because of the track record of the ANC to get the job done. The involvement of big names like former President Mbeki and other people, it was too late. Yes, there was a major shake-up when they came into the picture, but that was too late. My view is that there is a connection between the responsiveness of the electorate and the slow pace of service delivery. I think the slow pace of service delivery is palpable. I mean, you can talk to people until you are blue in the face. If you don't render services, I can bet my bottom dollar you won't be able to win the elections.
And when it comes to how popular the MK party has become over the past few months, and we've seen them in and out of the courts, for well over the past few months, do you think that actually added to their campaign?
My view is that one of the things that we need to tease out, and I don't think that we've done this enough, is the political psychology of the electorate. Yes, democracy means government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and we must respect that. But the manner in which the people have voted, it begs the question whether the way they have voted is an expression of rationality, or whether it's something. For instance, I mean, how do you vote for, a person who gives the president of the Constitutional Court a middle finger? Because voting, to me, it's like basically anointing a person to act on your behalf. So I think that's the conversation that we need to have about the political behavior of the. Of course, there are different categories of voters. You have other voters who are attached too much to ideology. I think you find a lot of them in MK. You have others who are part of the middle class who vote in relation to public policy issues. Then you have others who are sympathizers who vote in relation to trends.
And looking at the trends from the 2019 elections, and I know that we've spent a lot of time speaking about MK as well as the ANC, but another party that has done really quite poorly in KwaZulu-Natal and had made a lot of ground in the previous election is the EFF. They are sitting on 2% as we speak, and they were edging towards the 10% mark. What went wrong for the EFF? Would you say that it was the deployment, there was a deployment problem? We even remember last year during their 10-year celebration when some of their members and party members could not even book buses for members to go to the FNB Stadium. What went wrong for the EFF in KwaZulu-Natal?
I don't want to come across as if I'm too hard on them, but at the same time, I don't want to come across as if I'm too soft on them. But I think they need to applaud themselves for a good job well done, because I don't think they've had conflicts within the, I mean, for instance, they rose to prominence in 2013 against the background of Marikana, then they got 6%, then they doubled up their efforts, they got 12% in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And then they also improved, which is fine. But I think this campaign has been a project gone wrong. But it creates a scope. I mean, it backs it. I mean, look, I get invited by different political parties. I was once invited by the EFF, and I was taken aback by the robust engagement within the party on matters of leadership, people questioning the leadership. So I can bet my bottom dollar there will be a debate on matters of leadership, but the question is the leadership going to be humble and accept the critique of the rank and file of the party, or is the party going to use the socialist organizational model of democratic centralism to dismiss a divergent opinion?
All right, Ntsikelelo, thank you so much for that insight and for your analysis, especially when it comes to what is taking place in KwaZulu-Natal. Of course, the front runners there being the MK party, currently sitting on 45% of the vote, and as well as the ANC is currently on 18%, with the IFP on 17%. But we do know that right now they are only sitting on 77% of the votes which have been completed. So we are expecting, somewhat the final results. As Ntsikelelo Breakfast said there, he says he's not expecting much to change, especially when it comes to the positioning of the various political parties, especially looking at the top three.